Welcome back to CoastLife, guys. We all know the world is a stage, and because of that, today we've got some folks from the Second Street Players talking about their next great play. It's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And with me here, I've got Susannah, Griffin, and Greg Ellis. And guys, we love that you're in studio. Let's start with what it's like to be up on stage, having to remember all these lines, having to get through it in front of people. How do you prepare for all that?
Well, I mean, you start in the beginning working out with a great director and a great production team, and if they cast the right people, really everything seems to flow from that. And then you just take time over the weeks and months working through the script, and then it's really just an individual challenge because everybody has different ways that they memorize lines. So.
And Greg, you're going to have this big role. Why did you want that role? Is it something that's completely the opposite of you? Is it like you? Tell me something about how you relate.
It's completely the opposite of me. It's the best role on the show. I think it's better than McMurphy or Miss Ratched.
Okay.
we have some disagreement on what that role is.
Well, they're bigger roles, but they're both polar opposites, and I bounce between them, and so I have much more fun to do my role. It's a great role. I have a great monologue, and I really love it. It's great.
And Nurse Ratched is famous all over the place. Yes. So what did you do to prepare? Do you watch how anybody else has done it, or you just bring your own ideas to it? How does that work?
Well, I had seen the original film, of course, but I try not to watch what other people do. It's an interesting part because I've actually said to my cast members, it's a very lonely part to play because all the patients in the mental institution are sort of like a merry band, and they have fun together and they talk a lot with each other. But Nurse Ratched, no one really talks to her, no one likes her, and there's not one moment of break. So for me, the big challenge was humanizing her, having her not just be pure evil, because nobody just wants to watch pure anything. You wanna have a reason to root for everybody at least a little bit. So
yeah, and it makes the character more dynamic. It makes it more worth watching. So let's talk a little bit more about this specific play. Some folks may have seen the movie that are going to go, but how is this different, or how does this set up?
I would say it tracks pretty closely with the original novel by Ken Kesey. There are some pretty specific differences from the film, but anybody that has either read the book or has seen the film will feel very comfortable. I mean, sometimes when you go to see plays, they can be quite different from what people are used to on screen. But this one is a pretty close adaptation. I mean, it's centered in the mental institution, and Nurse Ratched runs the ward where these men live, and McMurphy comes there as a patient, and it really just transforms everyone's life. His presence there just changes every dynamic. And
it feels like this is, the kind of thing that fits well on a stage. It is sort of all compartmentalized in one sort of location. So how does that play in, in terms of pulling it off in a place like Second Street?
Well, it makes it a lot easier when you only have one set. And most of the people are on stage most of the time all together. So it's completely ensemble piece, and you have to really trust your other actors. It works great in a small space. It will work also in a big space. But it's a classic play, not in the fact that the stuff is still happening. It's classic in the fact that it is funny, which people don't realize. It's funny and serious and emotional, and that is always the best theater. When you can
get a little mix of that, it just feels more human. You guys already have a number of the tickets sold.
Yes.
Right.
The play's coming up next Friday. So for folks that want to go, how do they go about getting tickets? What do they need to know?
Well, we're running 2 weekends, the weekend of the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then the following weekend, the 14th, 15th, and 16th. We have Friday night and Saturday night shows at 7 p.m. And Sunday shows at 2 p.m., and they can go online to secondstreetplayers.com, or they can call the theater in Milford. It's Riverfront Theater.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. We can't wait to see this show. I think it's one of those things that I'm going to have to make sure I get out and come check out, because it's a good one, and we can't wait to see what you two do with it, and the rest of the cast as well. We're going to take a break here, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we're going to be talking about Ocean City, where the Chamber of Commerce has some interesting things going on. We'll be right back.